What's up? We got, I think, yeah, let's see. We got Facebook. We got LinkedIn's connected. We got YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. Cool. All right, so I'll let y'all get in here. Go ahead and put your questions in. Got a really great question from Edmund, who's asking in regards to that last video about franchising. So we'll talk a little bit more about that here in a sec. First, I'm going to get a glass of wine. I'll be right back. Oh, y'all get to see my Hoochie Daddy shorts. The funny thing is, like they don't even sell regular shorts no more. So if you're buying shorts now, basically all shorts are above the knees, which is pretty funny. Like for my generation, nobody was wearing shorts above the knees. That goes back to like the 80s. I remember when Jordan first got in the NBA and he had those short shorts on. And I think he was like, nah, we got to change this for the whole league. But now short shorts are back in for dudes. All right, so let's jump into today's what's up. All right, so we got a couple folks in from LinkedIn. I feel like LinkedIn's like the #1 spot right now, which is interesting. All right, so let's chat franchising, like why I chose franchising. Evan had a really great question. It's like basically he saw the video I did last time talking about my the cash flow of the first my very first franchise deal and kind of breaking down like what that looked like for my first month. What was the cash flow? And we got Instagram. I rarely go live on Instagram. So what his question was around is like, okay, compared to all the assets, is franchising like the ultimate form of cash flow? I thought it was a great question. And obviously, like anything, everything in life, there are going to be these pros and cons. And so I think it's important to understand, what the pros are when it comes to franchising, as well as what the downsides are. The biggest pro I feel like is the ability to get financing. Hold on a sec. It's like a glare from the sun. So financing right now, I think is still at the point where it's pretty easy. It's going to get a lot tougher here in probably the next 6 months. But right now, you still get access to really, really low cost financing. And part of the biggest benefit, especially for me when I was getting started with my very first franchise acquisition, was I had no money. That was my biggest obstacle to overcome. Was like I was broke, had the cool Wall Street thing, and was still kind of trying to do some deals, but it was just I didn't have much money, and so to be able to get access to a very high leverage percentage, high LTV loan was a big deal, and banks love franchises because the percentage of failure rate is so low. When you look at the average business that has a 50-50 chance of making it, in franchises, it's less than 10% that are going to fail. So that's a very high rate of return. And they know that that person's getting the training they need to run that specific business. So that's one of the things that I think you have to look at, because even if you have the odds of making a lot of money in some other type of asset, if you take into consideration that, if you take into consideration, what's up, Jay? Thanks for popping in. If you take into consideration the failure rate, then you've got to kind of measure it on an asset to asset basis. So not having that high of a failure rate is really a very big deal. The second thing is the consistency of cash flow. So one of the toughest things, and I was talking, we did an acquisition, a couple months ago, on a deal, and I was talking to the person running that business. Like, one of the most powerful things I think when you're running a franchise is how much money you can expect to make. And so in this particular system, we got this deal done, and my partner in the deal, who's managing the business, it's like I was talking to the number one franchisee, and hear the numbers that he's doing, and like you get to bug this person and figure out, like, how are you getting these numbers? And there are kind of two parts to that. Number one, you've got a roadmap, which I just think is invaluable. So the franchise is giving you a roadmap of, we've worked this system out over the course of 30, 40, 50 businesses, in some cases 400 or 500. When you're looking at, some of the franchises, I've owned like maybe 1,000 of those units that they've worked through. Subway is a great example. So when you've got that type of experience, it's like, okay, we know exactly where you need to be, who you need to hire, what you need to sell, how much you need to sell it for, what marketing you need to do, blah, blah, blah. For the franchise value, you've got that franchisor that knows all of that. But then you also have other franchisees, and those other franchisees are on the ground every day learning new tactics. And so you get to go to those franchisees and say, hey, like, how can I leverage whatever you're doing that's getting you these extraordinary results? So you've got the average where, let's say in a particular franchise, maybe the average person's generating 300,000 net a year, but then you have an outlier, and that outlier is generating 800,000. And your goal is to figure out, like, okay, I have the same business, I have the same resource, I have the same product, I have the same services, blah, blah, blah. How do I duplicate what they're doing? And that's really important from a motivational level, because that that's possible, and you can kind of see the path forward. But I also think it's powerful from the standpoint of, when you compare it to the average business owner, of not getting discouraged, because the average business owner is like, you don't know what's around the next corner. You don't know what the next obstacle is. Everything is like an experiment. You've got to try to figure it out a little bit at a time. And as you're trying to figure it out, you're doing it. You've got to do it. It's almost like the train is coming, you're laying the track, you're driving the train, and you've got to, kind of build it as you're going. And that's just a very tough feat. And that's one of the reasons you see a lot of businesses that don't succeed. So that's number two. Number three is, for me, I'm not in any particular game, because I'm not in business to change the world. If I'm going to change the world, it's going to be some philanthropic type of, endeavor, and, giving back, and that kind of thing. You have some people that are in business to change the world, and that's amazing. Elon Musk is one of them. But honestly, a lot of times those people tend to be off. Like, they're weird. Like, the kind of person is like, my life mission is a business, is a very weird person. It's like Steve Jobs. Everybody talks about basically what an a-hole he was, just had a pretty miserable life. You look at Elon, like, his wife is pretty weird. You know what I mean? Like, he's on planes and offering people horses in exchange for weird things. So, just like it's a very weird thing, but awesome. Like it's like, hey, I'm gonna go to Mars and that's gonna be my life mission. I'm gonna, create Tesla. And so all these beautiful things can come from it. Mark Zuckerberg, the same thing. Like, I don't want that kind of life. The average person confuses like, oh, I want to be successful in business for building this big thing. But the truth is, this person just wants to have a business, generates a good amount of income, allows them to have freedom, time freedom, location freedom, blah, blah, blah. I think the easiest way to do that is to have a system. It's not trying to build something from scratch. It's just like having that path. What's my path forward? Here are the steps to get there. I want to make $500,000 a year. Just tell me the steps to get there. And the reason that most people are on that path is to do that. But now I think people get confused, like, oh, I want to be a billionaire, and this kind of goal is not something that's even really theirs. It's something that like they've seen and they think, oh, like that's what success is in business. And if you look at the lives of what success is in business, most of their lives is pretty weird. And so that's another part of that is, understanding what your goal is. If you feel like, hey, my goal is I've got this business and I'm gonna, change the world through this idea, then that is one path to go. If your goal is, man, I want to live a life and I want to have freedom and I'm trying to figure out the path to the income that's going to afford me that freedom. So those are kind of the top three reasons. Obviously, there are a lot of other things that come to play, but I thought that was a really great question. It's kind of a follow up to that part one video on cash flowing in franchises that Edmund brought up. So shout out to you, Edmund. If you're interested in Patreon, we just uploaded. I think we uploaded. We just uploaded some really great training into the Patreon. It's patreon.com/Ace Chapman. And Nori just reached out. We're sending out the first copies of the new book, Infinite Returns, which is a really cool kind of intro to private equity. So they're getting that. The physical copies are being sent out to them. So if you want to get that, be sure to check out Patreon and some of those new lessons. Let's see if we got Jay that popped in on YouTube, said, "What's up, Ace? I learned a lot yesterday about franchising on our call. That is awesome, man. Awesome. Thanks for popping in. Hope everybody's having a great let's see, Friday. It's just hard to see the comments on Instagram. I'm sorry, but thank y'all for popping in over on IG. All right, we'll make it a quick one. Hope y'all have a great weekend. And if you are interested in learning more about private equity or franchise acquisition, we also have a really amazing franchise we just listed in Colorado that's in the 1.9 million range, generating about 400,000 a year income. So if you're interested in that deal, be sure to reach out, broker@goodmerger.com. And we got, it's been a long time. Canal said, Pop says, yo, long time. It has been. Thank you for popping in. Have a great weekend, everybody.